Okay, so yesterday we built a plate to make it a unit circle using our triangle templates that were based on the special right triangles from geometry. So I wanted to show you why the points are the points that we actually label them. Because yesterday we just wrote them down and I didn't give you any reason. So everything is based on the special right triangle. Yesterday we took the corner of a special right triangle and we set it on the origin, and then we we just put a mark on the edge. So here's our 45, 45, 90 right triangle, and it ends up at these pi over 4 spots. So there's pi over 4, over here would be 3 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, 7 pi over 4, and they all have the same point. Depending on the quadrant, they all have this radical 2 over 2, radical 2 over 2. Quadrant 1 is all positive, quadrant 2 is negative and then positive, quadrant 3 is negative, negative, quadrant 4 is positive and then negative. So here's where the math comes into play, and for those of us that think math's kind of neat, here's where it comes in. So we have this right triangle in here, it's 45, 45, 90, okay, and we know that the ratio of the sides is that both legs are the same, so we call them x, and then the hypotenuse is radical 2 times x. Well, here's the deal though, and if you kind of look at it, radical 2, alright, there's radical 2's in our points. Here's what we know though, in a unit circle, our radius is 1. Okay, so we can replace that. We don't need that radical 2 times x piece yet. So let's check to see if this is on the unit circle like we just did. And if x is one of our sides and x is the other side, okay, this is like having our horizontal move and then vertical move. X squared plus y squared equals 1. Alright, so if we work with this though, the one thing we know is it's not really x and y. Yes, there's a vertical move, but they're the same. They're both x. So I can say x squared, and instead of saying y, I can substitute x in for y. So I actually have x squared plus x squared, because it's the same distance, equals 1. If I solve this equation, 1x squared plus 1x squared is 2x squared. I divide by 2. I get x squared equals 1/2. Okay. From here, I take a square root. X squared equals the square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 2 is just radical 2. I do a little rationalization. I multiply the top and the bottom by radical 2. When I do that, 1 times radical 2 is radical 2. And then radical 2 times radical 2 is radical 4. The square root of 4 is 2. Alright, so I get x equals radical 2 over 2. Well, take a look at this. If we plug this back in, our horizontal move is radical 2 over 2 because it's x. Our vertical move is also x. So it's the same thing. It's also radical 2 over 2. So anytime I have a pi over 4, I have a denominator of 4. Anytime with the denominator of 4, I'm going to have this terminal point here. The signs might be different, but both the x and the y value are going to be radical 2 over 2.